Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to RSF1's F5 division. We're here round number 19 of the season. It is the Mexican Grand Prix, and we are here tonight possibly crowning our second Drivers' Championship of the season after obviously Corey Marshall claimed the crown in the F1 division. But of course we'll go over all of that as we head into tonight's race. Should be an entertaining one as well. Slightly lower grid of numbers of 14, but it's still a solid-ish number, all things considered. Of course we've got a big Euros game going on. Of course it's the end of the game cycle as well. So it's a decent number. So it's all good, of course. I'm RSF1 Rubens. I'm by myself today. I did get offers for people to join. But I'm okay. I'm okay by myself here. People having their rest, watching the game as well. So but I'm here to provide you the action. And hopefully, as I said, it should be an entertaining Grand Prix. This time last season, we had monsoon conditions around here. So fingers crossed I get that as well. Although it could match the weather we've been having recently with the blazing sunlight and the humid temperature and everything else. It is absolutely ridiculous lately. Oh, speaking of rain, I was right. Haha. Intermediates. Woohoo. Oh, shaking things up. Brilliant. Look at that. That's a good start. Well, as we only have 15, of course, everybody should be going through unless they crash themselves, which is not ideal. Please do not do that. Any of the drivers here tonight. But yeah, raining conditions for Q1. I wonder if anybody would actually go out and do some practice. But right, let us go through a few things. Dano has left the session. Fantastic. That's the first thing we're going to have to do. Recently played with... Dano. Get yourself back in here. There we go. So, let's go through a few things. Very first of all, the Drivers' Championship. So, as I said, we have a situation where we could be crowning a new champion here tonight. So let's go through that. First of all, Ted First, unfortunately, is one of the absentees here tonight. So, effectively, his championship challenge is, or could be over here tonight, because he is a total of 49 points behind this guy, Andy Yuzkin. Andy Yuzkin can wrap up the Drivers' Championship here tonight for F5. In order to do so, he has to outscore Tedist by 4 points. Yeah, he has to outscore Tedist by 4 points. He needs to outscore Raikkonen by 6 points. So in simple terms, first of all, he's got to beat the pair of them. Of course, Tedist ain't racing here. Raikkonen is. So he needs to beat Raikkonen by at least 6 points, so he's got to be at least, what is that, 7th to even do anything. If he's 8th or lower, that's it. Doesn't matter whatever Raikkonen does, Andy Yuzkin won't do enough to be mathematically ahead. He has to be, first of all, minimum 7th. And then secondly, he then has to obviously outscore Raikkonen by 6 points. A win and Raikkonen second would do it. If he's second, then Raikkonen has to be 6th, I think. But we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out as we go through tonight. But yep, simply put, if Andy Yuzkin has a brilliant race here tonight and Raikkonen does not, then he can be crowned champion. So we could be looking at can Raikkonen push it to our next race in Brazil? So a few questions out here. And everyone, apart from Immortal, is out doing a few bit of practice, which is good to see. Obviously get some bit of practice for the wet conditions later on if we have any more. But yeah, fantastic stuff. So Andy Yuzkin leads the championship, 271 points. Raikkonen is second on 224. Ted First is third on 222. And those are the three that could mathematically still win the championship. As I said, could be wrapped up tonight by Andy Yuzkin. Fourth place is Tacticals on 161. And is currently holding on to that last Racer Champion spot. In fact, the top three of Andy, Raikkonen and Tedis have already qualified. So we'll be seeing them obviously if they can make it, in the Race Champions at the end of the season. As I said though, Tacticals is hanging on to that 4th place. He is, how much is he? 19 points ahead of Dano, who's in 5th place on 142. 6th is McCracken, 134, and Lincoln is next on 123. Those obviously are fighting off for 4th place, as I mentioned. Next up is Daniel on 64 points, Hippo on 61, same as Destroy on 61. Timmer is on 32 points, ahead of Immortal on 31. X-Mando on 30. Quadet Buds on 17, Orphan on 10. And then the rest of Logical Dino, Maki, Empty the Mighty, Kabuki, and Shadow Moses all have yet to score. All can actually have a good chance of scoring their first points actually tonight because of the lower grid. Big opportunity for them to kick off their campaign, albeit at the latter end of the season. Drivers may be almost wrapped up, but Constructors is very close. And we've got Ferrari versus Renault. 5 points between them. Ferrari on 410, Renault 405. So even if Drivers could be wrapped up today, Constructors could be very much going to the end. We have both Renaults tonight and we have both Ferraris tonight. So definitely could be an interesting one going ahead. Williams are 3rd on 307 with Racing Point 218, McLaren 167 with Mercedes 110, Red Bull 95, Haas 84, AlphaTauri 75 and Alfa Romeo 61. And that's pretty much the championship all there. So I can now put my phone to one side and focus completely on this as people getting their laps in. We're not really focusing too much on the lap times, although it is curious to see Andy Yuskin 2 tenths ahead of his teammate Kraken. But I don't think many are pushing, they're just getting their eye in, just getting a few little setup adjustments. Mackie slides his way out of the final corner. Would be interesting if this continues to be wet for the rest of the session. Will definitely mix up the grid a lot. Raikkonen though, not looking forward to this race, Raikkonen said to me just before I went live. Not very confident at all at this track, so a little bit of rain could even things up for him because he is a rain master, I guess. Not a rain master, he just likes it, I guess. Too early to say whether he's a master of rain, but hey ho. Immortal on his outlap, just heading towards into the final sector. It is definitely very murky here today. The first time we've had rain all week around Mexico. So definitely be interesting to see how this shakes up the grid. Mando's just put in a second lap to split the Renaults. At 27.4, so Mando's looking pretty good in these conditions. As we're right on board with Immortal as he crosses the very long start-finish straight. The longest run down to turn 1 in the whole of the calendar. It's about 12-15 seconds, depending on the exit you get on the final corner. There is a Mercedes round in the middle sector. That could either be Moses or Mackie that's had a moment. So hopefully they get going soon. Yes, he's just getting going now. Immortal nicely through the first few corners. As McCracken puts in a third lap and just beats his teammate. Dano's also gone up there to up to third on 27.4, so all looking pretty good and close. So far as Immortal struggles with the rear end, got caught on the curbs through turn 7, that little section there, and now he's into the middle section, which is very easily to corner cut and go off wide and have your lap time invalidated. Just about keeps it. Let's put it in lean or non-ERS, interestingly, just to minimise the traction. Oh, he's not really pushing actually. He'll back off from his lap. Yeah, with the numbers, you don't really need to push at this moment. Just need to get a little. It's kind of like a practice session, but the worst thing you could do is push too hard, crash the car, and obviously you're out for the rest of the session. That is so obviously unnecessary at this point. But it's good to get practicing. Again, don't overdo it and you'll be alright. Daniel just crossing the line at the end. It's at 29, 9th. Bit of a lag jump I just noticed on the stream. Everything seems good from my end, but obviously if there are any problems, please let me know and I can adjust if need be. Star's Orphan just heading past the first few corners onto the second straight. Seems to be disqualifying. Good on the 20 line. Still got left to go in queue. Orphan looking pretty good. His teammate Dano's just got into the 27, so the times are down as Orphan doesn't actually abort the lap. So in, Timmer also invalidated as he comes down the last corner to start another lap. See how I think Tacticals is on another lap. Yeah, seems to be a 10th up, although very wide, way off the racing line. You can see, you know, the darkened patch in the middle of the racetrack, the racing line at the moment. 10th down middle sector. And it's just getting the eye in, getting used to the track. They keep on motoring around. Of course, reminder, we have the Race of Champions at the end of the season. I know we've mentioned it a fair few times, but we are getting very, very close to that moment. Of course, reminder that the top 4 of each division will be qualifying and will be racing against each other for one last hurrah in this game before we all turn our attention to F1 2021, which is, if you've got the deluxe edition, less than a month away. It was a month 2 days ago, so 3 and a bit weeks, and we can all start playing it. Well, those that have got it, the deluxe edition and all that, you can play 3 days earlier, which of course I've got. So very much excited for that. So many career mode options, multiplayer looks interesting. Yeah, definitely a load of things. And of course, if you are part of RSF1, all the details of next season, you've got to keep an eye on our Discord. Various things like social races, testing, all that kind of stuff, all in the next couple of months before we get ourselves ready for Season 5. Of course, there'll be a lot of things to discuss and sort out, of course, before we can get going. There might be a few streams in between, again on social races and a few little extra things we might have just to keep everyone's attention rolling before we start in our first race of the season, which could be, I mean, this is another thing to decide, whether we go to, well, it won't be Australia actually, because of course Australia would be the end of the calendar, which would be a weird thing to have, be Bahrain first, but we'll see how that works, because of course you got the new tracks, Imola, Jeddah and Portimao. Of course, they're coming out post-release, so I don't know how that's going to feature into our season, if it does. Another thing we've got to discuss, and of course I think we're going to go by race calendar. So again, we could be starting off in Bahrain, start of Season 5. Definitely will be an interesting season going forward. Yeah, again, I don't know how it's going to work, whether we're going to use the official calendar that we would have done, I guess, without obviously COVID getting in the way, or the actual calendar that we're doing now, like double Austria and whatever other alterations that we have. Again, all up in the open, but keep yourselves posted on the Discord, and the admins, of course, will be letting us know what happens. But yeah, testing all to be done, us getting used to the game, social races, and of course the driver draw at the start of the season, as Raikkonen sets a 7th lap on the same tyres to go quickest on the 26s now. As Tacticals, his team has just jumped up to 3rd on a 27-1. So looking good so far. Times are getting a bit more confident, a bit more stable, a bit more quicker as well. So everything looking good. The chat is very, very quiet at the moment, but we are just building up things, of course. We got Lincoln with ha 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 ha. which Lincoln is another one that really should be here racing, but of course he's prioritized somewhere else. Very disappointed in you, Lincoln. You should be on the track. You would have enjoyed this as well. Right, who else is on another lap? I think Timmer. No, Timmer's on an out lap. Tactical's on another one. Needs to be... Oh, lag, apparently, is what is going on with him. Sliding his way through the middle sector. Yes, football. Football, yes. What is the score, Lincoln, by the way? Just out of curiosity. As Daniel goes... bit quicker. That's why Tacticals was lagging, because he's just jumped out. So give me a second. Of course, I can only do this through qualifying. Race would be a little bit more difficult. I can just do this briefly, Mr. Tacticals. There you go. Oh, as ooh, Daniel. Don't want to be doing that at the end of the session. Spinning it through turn. Bit too eager on the throttle there. There's a Ferrari coming through behind him. That is the AI car. No, that's Raikkonen just coming through there, but he's perfectly fine out of the way. Oh, you laugh because they have rain, of course. And it's 0-0. See, it's boring. 0-0 is boring. There's nothing happening. So... oh well. 2 minutes to go, and of course we can go into Q2, and that's where we... oh, it's 1-0 France. Oh! GG France. Yeah, so we've got 2 minutes left until Q2, and that's when we can ramp up the tension and everything, because of course we're stalling here until Q2. Of course I do have a beverage to keep myself cool and rehydrated, because it is ridiculously humid where I'm at the moment. Yes, one thing I need to mention for those that are watching, because I've only got 11 watching at the moment, but just to pique your interest. Of course, next season, as well as many things that we need to discuss and prepare, is the comms team, and who's going to be on the comms team and so on and so forth. Those that know, or those that don't, I'm the head of comms. Of course, manage everything, can obviously do most of it myself, but hey ho. But no, my main role is kind of sort of managing it and see who's in the team and so on and so forth. Tacticals restarting box. Okay, as long as you get back in before Q2 Tacticals, it should be alright. But yeah, the team is going to change till next season. Reasons being, we'll leave it for now, but basically there may be a couple of people that will not be returning for various reasons, and there'll be new people on that you'll be hearing, and they'll be producing as well. So expect a couple of changes, of course, to it, and of course what days of what tiers and what days that the guys do, myself included, might change as well. But I'm already in my mind, I was like thinking who should be with each other, who's a good combination. In fact, actually, as Q1 is now over, those that are watching, and again, thank you very much for watching today. Those that are, of the people that do commentary, because myself, you got Chris, Lincoln, Musical Rocket, Blazer Guns, Primus, Raikkonen, and so on. Of those that you've heard, who would you think is a good combination? Who do you like to see working together in doing streaming and so on? I'm just curious, those that watching, are those your opinions? It's my stream, it's not buffering. Fantastic. Oh, there we go. Stupid laptop. Yeah, Q1 is now over. In fact, Dano's going to be the last lap to set. And he's validated and clonked it into the wall as he crossed the line. So that was a bit risky there from Dano. But yeah, if you guys watching have any views of who would you like to see working together as a good combination, or any that you know that work. For example, Lincoln and Musical Rocket are an interesting pairing, doing F4 on Thursdays. So yeah, if you have any views, let me know, and I'll put them in my mind. But there is Q1. Not really looking at the times, but if you want to look at them, Raikkonen obviously top in the session of Q1, just ahead of Dano, X-Mando and Tacticals, and then the two Renaults. But we'll see whether the rain continues. And the rain does continue for Q2, and this is obviously where we get things a little bit more interesting, because we are looking obviously at our top 10 to go through into Q3. We did have 15. Have we lost someone? We lost someone. Well, we had 15. Don't know who we lost in this one. I'm sure we had 15 before we started. Anyway. Right, who is first out on track? It is MT the Mighty in the AlphaTauri, who's just going to begin now. So yeah, top 10 go through into Q3, and the rain seems to be the same intensity as it was in Q1, so intermediates we will continue. Might seem a little bit lighter than before, so the track may dry out, possibly. Could be my eyes deceiving me, of course, but we will continue. And in terms of the top 10, obviously both championship contenders, Raikkonen and Andy Yuskin, I think Q3 is an absolute minimum for both of them in their situation. Raikkonen more so. I mean, Andy Yuskin can obviously afford to just keep an eye on Raikkonen and basically what he does to seal this championship tonight. I don't think he's going to drive any less conservative or consistent as he has done in the past. And that's what it's been. He's just been consistency, out of trouble, race wins when he needs to. And he has done very well. But let's ride aboard with MT. It's going to be the first person to set a lap in these intermediate conditions around Mexico. Rain around here definitely changes the track a lot as he heads out of the final corner. Of course, no DRS in this, so straight into hot lap mode in the ERS. Down into turn 1. Braking, of course the marker boards on the right hand side makes it a little bit more difficult. Into turn 1, through turn 2 and then turn 3. Be careful on the curves, you do throw the car, especially in wet conditions. You go from using the curbs and the dry, and then the wet, you kind of want to avoid them. End of the first sector, down into turn 4, which is a tight left and then a tight right. And you just need to try and keep up the momentum, really. Not push the car, not overdo it. Like that, for example. Maybe car's going to fight you on the rear traction. And then, if you're speaking about momentum, this is all about momentum through this middle sector. Keeping it on the track, doing it very nicely, does Mighty in the AlphaTauri. Doing pretty nice now into the final sector. It really tightens up, especially at these two corners here in the stadium. Might do a little bit of short shifting on the exit to minimize the traction as well. Then into the final corner, which the exit is absolutely crucial, especially in the race, and it's going to be a 28.7. We'll see how that stacks up to everybody else, but that's a solidish time, I think, from Mighty. McCracken is just finishing off. I think Andy Yuskin, which we're on board with now, is coming into the final sector. Dano gets in a 26.9, so it equals the time set by Raikkonen earlier on. Mando 27.9. Here comes Andy. Is he going to pop into the 26s? No, it's a 27.1 though. That is a solid time for Mandy. That might be good enough. It's Daniel 28.7. There's a Mercedes coming across. That's Moses. Goes up to 7th. 41.0. They will want to improve on that time. Mortal coming out the last corner. Good track. Below 27. 27.3. Solid lap from him. Happening with Orphan. Orphan goes up to 7th as well. Just behind Daniel and Mighty. Tacticals goes up to 4th. What else we got? McCracken also. Big pressure on McCracken. Obviously a big race for Ferrari last time out, getting a 2nd and a 3rd to put them just ahead of Renault going into this race, so Renault really need to fight back. McCracken goes up ahead of his teammate, so 27.0 from him puts him firmly, I would say, into the top 10 unless this all dries up. So good stuff from McCracken. Anybody else on a lap? Timmer on an improvement. Improves by a 2nd, well no, 6/10, sorry, but stays in 10th. Right, who else is on an improvement? Shadow Moses, much better lap, goes 31.0 but stays 11th. He's just outside the top 10. Red Bull Immortal, invalidated. So we jump to the McLaren of, it'll be Dano actually. Oh no, it was Orphan. Goes up to, goes ahead of Daniel and Mighty. So good lap from Orphan to go 7th. Validates again. Let's keep on board with Mackie, see how he takes it. Obviously new driver into RSF1. Obviously known Mackie for a fair long time, so it's good to see him racing and so on. Had a bit of a difficult time in his debut in USA last week, so he'll be looking to get some solid points on for Mercedes. Had a good start actually in the race, found himself inside the top 10 but just got shuffled out with the racing, but I guess he's just getting used to the other drivers. As far as I know, he's been out racing for a while, so he's just getting the groove back in, ready for the next game of course. Into the middle sector. Oh, big slider, can he hold it? Yeah, oh no, he's into the wall. And he's out. Oh, what a shame for Mackie. Caught a slide in the middle sector, and that was it. So Mackie will be going no further in this session. So he might end up in 14th place. As Raikkonen now heads off on his lap, leaving it a little bit later into the session. There's no problem. That's a real shame for Mackie in the Mercedes, so he'll be not taking part into Q3 at the very least. Again, Raikkonen will be definitely looking to get into this top 10, put himself in a best possible situation to fight Andy Yuskin right down to the last race as Dano improves his time to 26.7. Good lap from him. I think he's safely through. The rain seems a little bit lighter than before. It's Raikkonen getting a lot of understeer through the middle sector, keeping it just about clean on the exit. Nicely through the middle sector. It's purple, of course. That's his personal best for himself. We've always said, is that quickest in the session? And I've always checked the race direction and it says otherwise, so Raikkonen coming out the last corner. The car always wanted to fight and snap on him. It's a 27.7, so might be in a bit of trouble with that lap. But a lot of wheel spin on the last corner might have cost him. Tacticals, his teammate just starting the lap now as we've got just under 6 minutes to go. We got Chronic, who's yet to set a lap, he's just on one now. Moses, Timmer just outside the top 10. We've got Mighty, Daniel, Orphan. Maybe Mando, probably in trouble. In fact, Mando actually improves to 27.4, goes up to 6th. See how Chronic gets on. Chronic had to turn out of that corner. Again, that middle sector. Mentioned it a few times already. It's all about carrying the right line through. If you've had to adjust like the corner before, then it's going to be just mess up the whole of the section. Rain definitely seems to be easing off a little bit. Here comes Chronic, 29s. It's going to be a 29.4. Stays 11th. See who else. You got both Ferrari still on a lap. Tacticals is a bit up. Raikkonen is 6/10 up, but he's invalidated, so he's going to go on another lap, which is good because these tyres just get better and better as you get used to them. See what Tacticals can do. Yeah, improves by a 10th, goes to 4th. So yeah, both Ferraris doing the same little tactic here, going lap after lap after lap. Andy Yuskin, interestingly, has only done one lap on his tyres. So we got next Timmer. What's Timmer getting up to in the Racing Point? Timmer's had a massive slide. He's going to do the same as Mackie. Oh! Into the wall. Lucky he's still going. Poor, very lucky boy to be still going. He's got 3 minutes left. So he's got time to repair that damage and get back out, but he's got to be quick doing so. Poor. This again just caught a big slide on the end of the middle sector. And that was it. But as mentioned, he's very, very lucky to continue. Continue he does. Gives the opportunity of Chronic to go forward, and Chronic misses out by a couple of tenths. 28.9. 2 tenths off the top 10. Hello Rocket in the chat. I am baking right now. It's very, very hot where I'm at. Raikkonen, that's a bit better. 26.9. That should see him through into the top 10. Exactly what he needed to do. Tacticals as well, Stone going around. Andy is just starting another lap. Don't think he needs to, but obviously he's just checking because conditions seem to be getting slightly quicker by the looks of it. People finding time. 2 tenths here and there. It's I never like hot weather. I'd rather it be cold because at least I know how to warm up. Whereas if it's too hot, you don't know how to sort of cool down. Especially at night as well. Of course, it doesn't help that I've also got my laptop and the Xbox running and the TV running, so it's very hot in my room. I'm alright. It's all is good. Like everyone enjoyed tonight. Yeah, I wish you were racing, Hippo. That's the thing. The Moses. Oh, wow. Into the top 10. Just ahead of Chronic. Puts Chronic under pressure. So Moses pops the Mercedes into 10th. So that puts both AlphaTauris with work to do. With a minute 40 to go. Who is about to finish that out? I think Tactical's about to finish another one. No, he's back in. Andy Yuskin doesn't need to improve, but he is. Can he get into 26s? He does. 26.5. Tops Q2 for the time being. Of course, didn't need to, but more security. And, well, it's laid a marker down, basically. No, it's raining and AJ isn't first. He's up there, though. It's fine. We need what he needs to do, really. Is that a McLaren? of Danos on an outlap. Same with Immortal through the last sector. Who's on a lap? Is that Chronic? Yeah, Chronic's 3/10 up. That'll put him back into the top 10 if he completes this lap strongly. Nice little short shifting. This is probably going to be his last lap because the fuel light is blinking. Does improve despite running very wide on the last corner. 27.8 for Chronic, moves himself back into the top 10. That now puts Moses out of it. Well, he's on a lap now. Mighty as well. Mighty coming to the end of the middle sector. Is he improving? He is by a 10th. So close to the top 10, but not close enough. Timmer is out. He'll start 13th. Lars Orphan is also in the pits as Q2 is over. Chronic is going... No, not Chronic. Mighty is going to be the first one to finish his lap. Is it going to be enough to get him into the top 10? It is! He goes 9th for 28.1, just ahead of Orphan. So Orphan's now in trouble of not going through as Daniel gets a massive slide out of the S section. How on earth did he catch that? But he's a few tenths down. Moses is also the other one, so Daniel's going to be first. And Daniel's invalidated. Daniel is out. A massive lockup into the stadium section, and he is out of the top 10. So it's just Shadow Moses. It's Moses or Orphan that is going to be in this top 10. So can Moses spoil Orphan's party of making it into the top 10 as he comes out the last corner? It's a 28.2 to beat, and he goes. Doesn't improve, stays 12th. So both Mercedes go out in Q2. Orphan makes it by a couple of attempts. Daniel, with a mistake into the stadium section, also goes out in 11th, and Timo in 13th. And it's just Mando who finishes and goes second with a 26.7, so puts his name into the hat of potential pole sitters, and there's at least 5 or 6, I'd say, in that. But Andy laying down the marker with a 26.5 at the top. Ian and Matty. A parachuter. Jeez. The things happening in these Euros, it's ridiculous. It's almost like the whole tournament. Obviously, it's been delayed by a year for a start, and obviously the sad thing that happened to Ericsson the other day. Now a parachuter. Honestly, what's this tournament? Anyway, so out of Q2, Mackie 14th, Timmer and Shadow Moses 12th, 13th, and 12th, and then Daniel just missing out. And there is your top 10. You'll head through to Q3. Rocket Eaker collapsed on the pitch. Apparently suffered cardiac arrest. That's the one. Yeah, not what you want to see. Thankfully, he's in hospital talking, and you know, signs are good anyway, which is the most important thing. But yeah, not what you want to see or hear, because yeah, definitely could be not good news for him. Intermediates again, the full Q3. Yeah, intermediates again for Q3, which is definitely interesting because you only get 3 sets for the whole of the race weekend. So this is going to depend on how the tyres have been managed across this whole qualifying. It's going to be very, very key. It's an AlphaTauri out first, and it's Empty the Mighty once again. That's going to kick off Q3. So Guys in the chat, who is going to get pole position? Who is going to get... I'd say all important. It's not really what is important. But at this track, because we know the long run down to turn 1, you really want to be on the second row if you get the good start and the slipstream. But who's going to grab it, that pole position? I think personally there's 4 or 5, I would say. Lincoln saying Andy, Dano, Raikkonen in that order. That would be an interesting order. I'd probably personally go with... I'm going to go tacticals for this one. Tacticals, Dano, then Andy is my top 3. It's a difficult one to call though. Rocket saying, gotta go Raikkonen, Andy, tactical. Okay. Right, so let's see who gets it. I think we're going to be in the 26s most definitely. Stopped. It has. The rain stopped. Ooh. So we're going to get some dry running. So that's an interesting one. There is weight. That's probably the reason why. So we're going to get some dry tyres by the looks of it, because the rain has stopped. So obviously they're going to set laps at the moment. But this could very much be on the track at the right time. Let's see who can take it. But Chronic is going to be the one to set a lap. Then it's going to be Andy behind him. This does make things interesting. I'm still curious about the race. We had a little bit of a hint from Raikkonen earlier in the chat. He said he did, but he doesn't want to tell. Doesn't want to tell us. Making me think it could be full wet, I guess, if he's not telling us. Or it's just boring. It's just blazing sunlight. We'll see. It won't be boring. It'll be entertaining. F5 is always entertaining. Always brings up a few. Have another surprise tonight. We see another twist in the tail. This championship was just turned all across the season. Mighty. A lot of wheel spin on the last corner. 28.9 sets the first opening lap, and it's going to be beaten by Andy at 26.7. So it's a very good lap time, but the conditions I think are just going to improve. As yeah, 26.3 from Raikkonen. I think at this point Raikkonen will be like, why is it drying up? He's looking very good. Stop probably the way this track drive. Mordor's going to be next. Into the final couple of corners. I tell you, actually, those people watching, have a glass of cold water to sleep. Apparently it works. And it has worked for the last couple of days, I would say. They've been suffering like myself with the humidity and the hot weather. Yeah, apologies for the lag every now and again. It's not brilliant. Yeah, glass of cold water. Not like gulp it. Just like sip it. Every now and again, just watch something on YouTube or something. Last 20 minutes before you go to bed. Yeah, no, Rocket. No, probably not. How often is it buffering, Lincoln? I notice it is buffering a little bit. Oh yeah, everyone's back into the pits now. By the looks of it, Cron again is still coming up, and we have only got 6 minutes, so every minute that passes by, that's less time for them to go on. Every 15 seconds. Might need to bring down the bit rate, I think. Right, just think how to do this. We've got 5 minutes left, and I want it buffering during qualified. So I'm going to quickly restart the stream on a lower bit rate, because I think that might be the issue. And I'll be right back, and we'll catch the last 5 minutes in qualifying. I might as well sort it out now before that and the race. So stay where you are. Be right back.